Hello, church family. In Mark 5, 1 through 20, it talks about the story of when Jesus and his disciples had just gone through a crazy storm. Jesus was sleeping in the boat, and the disciples were freaking out because the waves were getting bigger and more water was coming into the boat. And then they were like, we're going to die. And Jesus wakes up, says, "Peace, be still," and then asks them about that scary experience and why they were so afraid, especially with him in the boat. Well, then Mark 5, 120 talks about how when they landed on the other side, the demoniac came running after them. And you think the disciples who had just been rebuked for their fear would have been ready to stand strong in their faith after just witnessing what God did on the water, what Jesus did on the water. But they ran. And when they looked back to see where Jesus was, they saw that he was standing his ground with the demoniac. And he cast out the legion into the 2,000 pigs that were on the hillside, and then they jumped into the hills. And the townspeople had lost a huge financial loss through that, were not happy, and asked Jesus to leave. Well, when Jesus got into the boat to leave, the demoniac was like, "Please let me go with you, Jesus. Please let me come and serve with you and listen to you and be in your presence." And Jesus said, "Forbid it." Said, "No, you are to go and tell others what the Lord has done for you. Tell others of the mercy and the compassion that I have shown to you." And so although it looked like a victory for Satan that day, it actually was a genius move by God to say, I'm going to put this man behind enemy lines so that he can go and share what Jesus has done for him to everyone that he knows, his neighbors, his family, and to the whole Decapolis, which were 10 cities, mainly Gentile. And he went around telling everybody, the Bible says he told everybody what Jesus did for him. And everyone was amazed and marveled. And so I know we give Paul the credit for being the apostle to the Gentiles, but this healed demoniac really planted the seeds for a lot of the places that Paul would later go. I share this story because I think sometimes we love the idea of being with Jesus and spending time with Jesus and staying with Jesus, which is great. Jesus wants to be with us. He wants to spend time with us. But Jesus says, it's not just about being with me. It's about bringing others to me. So I need you to go. I need you to go and share your story. You know, before the demoniac was healed, the Bible goes into all of the things that the demoniac was doing, screaming all night and day, cutting himself with stones. And then the Bible says, but then Jesus. But then Jesus. What is your but then Jesus story that you need to tell? You don't have to be a pastor. You don't have to be a preacher, teacher. You just have to tell your story of what Jesus has done for you. And God's going to use that to change people's lives forever. So church family, we need to go. Not just stay in the boat with Jesus where we know it's safe, where we know it's comfortable. We need to go and tell our but then Jesus stories. After Jesus, this is who I am. Before Jesus, this is who I was. And now look what he has done for me in my life. Look at the compassion and mercy he has shown me in my life. That's it. So let's go share Jesus today. And I pray for each and every one of us as we move forward in him, that many people will come to know that they can experience but then Jesus stories as well. God bless.